Well, hello there. Welcome back to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. Well, today I wanted to share with you my thoughts on a recent release from the Criterion Collection. This is a title that I picked up as part of the recent Target Buy Two, Get One sale. So Target ran a sale recently from June 12th through June 18th where you could buy 2 movies on Blu-ray or DVD or 4K Ultra HD and get a third for the price of 2. So I took advantage of that. I went ahead and got 3 Criterion titles in advance of the upcoming July Barnes & Noble Amazon 50% off sale because the Target Buy 2 for 1 was a really good deal because the couple of films I got were already discounted and you get the third one as well. So by the time you do the math on that, it turns out to be about $20 a film, which is basically equivalent to the Criterion sale. It actually came out a little bit less than $20 per film, including tax, which was really nice. Got them for like $59, so that's not bad. So I got Chan is Missing, which I did a review on this channel on recently, so check that out. And I also got The Funeral. Those 2 came first, and then a few days later, this film, Farewell Amor, the 2020 film from director Ekwa Msangi. So this is a 2020 film from Ekwa Msangi, and Ekwa Msangi is a Tanzanian-American filmmaker, producer, and screenwriter. She teaches production and cultural studies at New York University. So if this doesn't focus, I will put a picture up here, but yeah, sometimes this doesn't focus, but this is from filmmaker Ekwa Msangi, so a Tanzanian-American filmmaker, and she was born in Oakland, California. This is her 2020 film, so this is a very new film, very recent film, Farewell Amor, and this is a very nice family story. So let me just set the stage for you of what this story is about. So essentially you have these 3 main actors here. They're the 3 main leads. You have Natari Main, he's Walter. You have Zainab Jah, who I was blown away by her performance, but Zainab Jah plays Esther. And over here you have Jamie Lawson, she plays Sylvia. So this is a family, this is an Angolan family. This is John F. Kennedy Airport. And Walter was waiting at the very beginning of this film. Walter's waiting at John F. Kennedy Airport to be reunited with his wife, Esther, and his daughter, Sylvia. They have been apart for, check this out, 17 years. Walter has not seen Esther and Sylvia in 17 years. They are now reunited in New York. Walter's been a taxi driver, a cab driver in New York City and Brooklyn. He's living in a 1-bedroom apartment. He's been there for 17 years, waiting for his family to be able to come to the United States and join him. His family was involved in a complex civil war in Angola that took place from around 1975 to 2002 or somewhere thereabouts. And as a result of that, his wife Esther and daughter Sylvia became refugees over in Tanzania for a period of time, and it took many years for their visas to be approved for them to come to the United States. Their visas finally get approved, and they're finally able to be reunited with Walter in New York after being apart for 17 years. So just let that sink in for a second. This family who's been apart for so long is now coming back together. And the incredible narrative that's laid out in this story really just frankly deals with the complexities that would be involved in a situation like that. I mean, imagine being apart from your spouse or your family or not seeing your child in so many years. Imagine the dynamics that would create. So over the past 17 years, of course, a lot happens. Walter, what relationships has he been involved in? And where has his life gone in 17 years? What has happened with Esther in her life over that 17-year period? We find out very early on in the film that shortly before Walter arrives at the airport, of course, he had to end a relationship with a woman he had been involved with because now his family's finally coming to be reunited with him. We find out that Esther, this is early on in the film, Esther is now devoutly religious. So she brings, her strong Christian faith to the table, which is, Walter is not exactly a strong Christian. So there's a little bit of friction and tension there. And then of course the idea that now Sylvia, who's now 18 or 19 years old, probably around 18 years old, the last time Walter, her father, saw her, she was a 1-year-old baby. And the idea that now she's reunited with her father, who she really has no memory of, and how are they going to relate to one another? Are they going to be able to form a bond as a father and a daughter? Will Walter and Esther's marriage survive after being apart for 17 years? How does that work? All of those complexities are played out beautifully in this screenplay and from Ekwa Msangi and this production team. I just think they did a fantastic job from the time that you see this airport scene, which ends up being a very pivotal scene in this movie because the way this narrative plays out shows the events from the perspective of all three of these characters, starting with Walter's perspective. And then at some point, it goes back in time to when they first meet at the airport, and you see the events from the perspective of Esther, and then you see the events from the perspective of Sylvia. Actually, it's in reverse. You go from Walter to Sylvia and then to Esther. But you see all three of their perspectives from the time that they meet at the airport. And I just thought it was a very nice, very simple, but nicely executed way of presenting the story of how these characters are dealing with a very difficult situation. I mean, from Esther and Sylvia's perspective, they've been in Africa all their lives, in Angola and Tanzania, dealt with a ton of upheaval in their lives. And now they're able to finally come to the United States, be reunited with her husband and her father, and try to build a life in America with a man that they now barely know. And, you know, thinking about the challenges that represents, I think their performances are both very, very strong in really bringing to life how difficult that situation would be. Starting with Esther in the center here, I think she is probably the heart and soul of this movie. I think all of these actors did an amazing job, but Esther is so powerful in her performance, and the emotion that she brings to the table in her performance is just absolutely phenomenal in this film. Zainab Jah is an actress that I had never heard of before I saw this film. I think she's a stage actress, but I was just blown away by Zainab Jah's performance in this film, as well as young Jamie Lawson. I thought she was brilliant. And in the supplement, she does talk about how as a young actress, she learned a lot just observing Walter's performance, you know, Walter here, who was performed by Natari Main, and just observing his acting performance and how he approaches his work. I think all three of these leads did an absolutely amazing job. There's also another lady here named Joy Lee, who played a neighbor in this film, Zingha. And I thought she did a really good job in this movie as well. But overall, this is a really fascinating family story presented by Ekwa Msangi, and I really, really enjoyed this film. This is the type of film that, for me, is very eye-opening in the sense of so many of these Criterion Collection discoveries. You know, a lot of these films are films that I had never heard of, never heard of the film, never heard of the director, and I just pick them up, and they're new discoveries for me. And for the most part, these discoveries work out really, really well. So some examples of that are like Boat People from earlier this year, Adoption, Chan is Missing, just films that if it wasn't for the Criterion Collection, I wouldn't even consider watching, but I decided to give it a watch, and you learn something new. You see a glimpse of, something going on in the world that I had never thought of or was aware of, and I just find that interesting. So if you're interested in titles like this, I would recommend considering this for the Criterion Collection sale. If you're interested in a family story like this, as I described, if you're interested in learning more about, events around the world like the Angolan Civil War, which I'm now inspired to kind of read up on a little bit more because I don't know much about that. But if you're interested in things like that, definitely consider Farewell Amor. So it comes in at spy number 1128 in the Criterion Collection. It is from director Ekwa Msangi. And I'll just read the back here real quickly here. It says, in her luminous feature debut, filmmaker Ekwa Msangi chronicles a broken family's journey to wholeness with empathy and insight. 17 years after his family was separated by the Civil War in Angola, a New York taxi driver, Natari Guma Mabaho Mwini, is reunited with his now devoutly religious wife, Zainab Jah, and teenage daughter, Jamie Lawson, when they are finally able to follow him to America. But after living thousands of miles apart for so long, the three find they must discover one another's strengths, forgive one another's weaknesses, and bridge cultural and generational divides in order to build a life together. Told in 3 perspective-shifting chapters that honor the multitude of struggles and emotions that make up the immigrant experience, Farewell Amor is a bittersweet, compassionate evocation of how it feels when your heart and your home are in different places. So Criterion always does a great job with their summaries here, and that beautifully encapsulates this beautiful, beautiful film. This is a really nice film. Again, if that description in any way interests you, I would definitely recommend checking out Farewell Amor if you're interested in that. Of course, it's mostly spoken in English. There is some Portuguese in there as well, so you see the subtitles will play accordingly. And it's just a really nice film overall. Now, this is as far as the picture quality, this is a new film from 2020. It has a new 2K master approved by director Ekwa Msangi with 5.1 surround DTS HD master audio soundtrack. This is a new film. It looks great in high definition. This is a standard Blu-ray, and the sound is also very strong. Dance is a big part of this film. Of course, as you think about, okay, how are they going to reunite? What's going to bring them together? Well, dance is one of the elements that helps to bring these characters together. And it's one of the uniting themes of this movie in terms of when Esther and Walter were together back in Africa, one of the things they had in common was they danced together a lot. And so you see you see Walter trying to rekindle that now that they're in Manhattan. Of course, Sylvia is a young dancer, and you see the conflict there that now that Esther is now devoutly religious, so she struggles with the idea of her daughter dancing. Is that morally right? And so that's just another element in this story. But dance is a big part of this movie as well. And so the music that accompanies that dance plays very well on this nice 5.1 audio mix, and the dialogue comes across beautifully. You have an audio commentary on here, which is very good, that features Ekwa Msangi and the cinematographer, Bruce Francis Cole. So that's a very good commentary. You also have some short films from Msangi on here. So one of the short films is a film that's basically is, I think, about 10 minutes, but it's a prequel to this movie. So it shows basically the Walter character. It's a different actor, but it shows the Walter character before he goes to the airport and how he has to sort of break things off with his girlfriend who he's, been with. And now that his family is coming to America, that relationship has to end. He's now has to reunite with his family. And so you see that before the airport scene. There's also a couple of other short films called The Market King and Farewell or Suspense. Very good. You have interviews there's also a nice feature on here that has interviews with each of these actors, and they share their perspective on the filmmaking experience that I thought was very fascinating. One of the things that I thought was interesting was Zainab Jah shares some of her experiences in that this story is not unfamiliar to her in her real life. She was separated from her parents for like 10 years. From the time she was like 1 year old till she was in her, I think, almost early teens. There was a 10-year gap between the time that she saw her parents. And I don't know the reasons for that, but that is something that gave her familiarity with this fictional story that she played in here. So I thought that was fascinating, and just hearing Jamie Lawson talk about her experiences making this movie, her observances of Walter and his acting talents, and really just how all 3 of these actors admired each other. I mean, of course, Natari really had tremendous admiration for Zainab Jah, her as an actor. And when you see this movie and see the emotion and the power of her performance, you will definitely understand his admiration for her as an actor. So this is a nice collection of supplements, I mean, overall. And of course, on the inside, check this out. See this nice little insert here, Farewell Amor. You have a nice I like this. And then of course, check this out. At the airport, when they first are reunited, of course, this is before the drama unfolds and you see the complications begin to roll in, but this is their reunion at the airport. And then you have a nice essay in here called Coming Over by Tiana Reid, which talks about the film and the filmmaker. So a nice essay in here from Tiana Reid, Coming Over. But check out this nice art on here. So yeah, and then on the inside of the disc, you have the airport scene, this airport scene, which the reason for that is that this airport scene is very pivotal. You keep coming back. You'll come back to this airport scene about 3 times in this movie as you get the different perspectives from the 3 actors. So overall, this is a very nice addition from the Criterion Collection. Again, if you're interested in a story like this, if you're interested in learning a little bit more about the world and about the challenges that immigrants face and the different situations in life, definitely check out Farewell Amor. It is definitely well worth it. And I'm glad I picked it up as part of the Target Buy 2 Get 1. I can definitely recommend this title. Let me know in the comments below what you think about this film if you've seen it. Let me know if you plan to pick this up in the upcoming July Barnes & Noble or Amazon sales. And also let me know what other titles from the Criterion Collection are you thinking about as this sale is very fastly approaching. Let me know that in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.